Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Dear students, welcome to Insight Academy. In today's session, we're going to have a discussion of your GS Prelims test paper of Ancient and Medieval Indian History. The syllabus of this paper is the same what was given to you in your test schedule. I'm sure all of you have prepared well and you have attempted the paper by this time. I could see from the system, I could get the information from office that most of you have scored very good marks. So keep doing hard work and keep getting better and better score. Let us start today's discussion. This paper is part of your prelims test series and is going to cover the topics of ancient and medieval history. You know that ancient and medieval India are important for prelims primarily from cultural perspective. So whenever you read ancient and medieval sources, whether they see NCERT or any other book or any other source, whatever you come across, your focus has to be primarily on cultural dimensions, religion, philosophy, art, architecture, music, dance, painting, literature, all those kind of things you have to pay special attention, because most of the questions in ancient and medieval India or from this segment are coming from the cultural dimensions. Cultural dimensions are very important nowadays because Government of India is pushing Indian heritage, Indian art culture very, very strongly to attract most of the tourism, to enhance India's soft power and to make India a great nation in the eyes of the world. So you have to understand that perspective. Political history is relatively less important. Cultural history is relatively more important. So pay attention accordingly. In this paper, here you have 100 questions. So we'll go from question number 1 to last, one by one. Question number 1 to 80 are from the syllabus of ancient and medieval history, and question number 81 to 100 are from current affairs. Current affairs, again, it was mentioned clearly in your test schedule. So that segment has been used to pick up the questions of current affairs so that test by test, every week you start doing better and better and you end up covering the entire current affairs. Actually, in civil service exam, it's not current affairs, it is current developments. It means if you get something in news, you have to develop it. You have to look at the background, you have to look at what other incidents or developments that happened in the past. So you have to trace the issue back to last 5 to 7 years. And that's why most of the questions of current developments are coming in news, but answers you will not be getting from newspaper. You have to develop further. Newspapers will not be giving you answers of current development questions being asked by UPSC. So kindly pay attention to that fact. Let us start with your question number 1. Which of the following statements best describes the transition from Paleo to Neolithic? Paleo means Old Stone Age or the Early Stone Age. Neo means the New Stone Age. So the process or the phases of evolution of human life in Indian subcontinent as well as at the level of the world have been divided into various segments on the basis of changes and continuity. The Stone Age life is divided into 3 phases: Paleolithic, Mesolithic and Neolithic. So Paleo was the first phase, Neo was the last phase of Stone Age and Meso was the intermediate or between the 2 phases. Let us see what was changed, what transition happened. It was a rapid and uniform transition across all regions. It was not a rapid transition because Paleolithic age in Indian subcontinent started in around 2 million BC, or you can say 2 million years ago. Neolithic age started around 7,000 years ago. So it was a process spanning more than 1 million years. And such process that was spanning more than 1 million years cannot be rapid. It was very, very slow. It was very, very gradual. So first point here is wrong. It was not rapid. Second thing, it was not uniform also because the geoclimatic factors, the challenges being faced by human beings in different parts of Indian subcontinent determined their adaptation. So evolution was not uniform. That's why different cultures emerged in the Indian subcontinent during this long period. Second point, it was marked by changes in tools, lifestyles, and food production. That is perfectly correct because changes happened in tool technology, changes happened in lifestyle, food. Initially, the man was hunter, food gatherer. In Mesolithic times, the man started domesticating animals, and in Neolithic age, the man started cultivating food grains or agriculture started. Tools. The tools of Paleolithic times were big, bulky, or unrefined. In Neolithic age, the tools were grinded, polished, and handles were put. So for the first time, the man started using handles, or celts were used by Neolithic man, and this was a phenomenal technology because this indicates that Neolithic man was aware of principle of torque. So Stone Age man was not that primitive as generally comprehended, generally felt. Stone Age man was quite advanced relatively when we look at the Paleolithic times. Point number 3, it occurred simultaneously with the development of Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization was a Bronze Age civilization. Indus Valley civilization was a Metal Age civilization. Indus Valley civilization was an urban civilization. So Indus Valley civilization emerged after the end of Neolithic times or in Chalcolithic times. So that point is wrong. So you have to read the statements carefully. Questions are very simple. Most of the questions are very simple. All the questions are directly from the sources given to you in your test schedule. You have to read them carefully so that you do not commit silly mistakes. Every time when I meet students, those who do not qualify prelims exam, I find that everyone is committing 4 to 5 silly mistakes. You do not have to commit silly mistakes because UPSC exam is not about speed. It's about accuracy. You have to get accuracy. Whatever you know, you must mark it correct in your answer sheet. So ensure that here also. So 1 and 3 are incorrect. Second is correct. Option is 2 only. That is B. So Neolithic man was learning how to start fire. It was early phase, but man was evolving through extreme hard work. Man was adapting to the prevailing circumstances or geoclimatic conditions. These kind of stone tools were used, and these tools were given specific shapes through slow process by hitting one stone with another stone. Question number 2. Consider the following statements regarding Chalcolithic cultures in India. Chalcolithic means copper stone. Chalcolithic cultures in India or Chalcolithic cultural phase in Indian subcontinent started in around 2800 BC and continued till around 700 BC in different parts of Indian subcontinent. So this was the post-Neolithic age phenomena, Copper Stone Age. Copper was the first metal used by mankind, or copper was the first metal known to mankind, and by 2800 BC the copper use was quite common. If you know, the use or the discovery of copper took place in around 3500 BC. So over the centuries or in around a period of 700 years, the man started using copper quite commonly. But the use of stone tools was not given up. That is why this was Copper Stone Age or Chalcolithic period, and these cultures or the people who lived in this period in villages were representing Chalcolithic cultures. Chalcolithic cultures were characterized by the first use of copper along with stone tools. Perfectly correct, because these are Copper Stone Age cultures. They were rural in character with no evidence of developed urban settlements among them. See, till the time these cultures or till the time these people were living in villages, they were representing rural life, we term them as Chalcolithic cultures. And when some of the settlements assumed urban feature or developed into towns, we say they were representing Harappan civilization. Like Daimabad was part of one of the Chalcolithic cultures, that is Jorwe culture. Daimabad was a part of Jorwe culture, but when Daimabad evolved into a town, we say Daimabad was part of Harappan civilization. So that differentiation between Harappan civilization and Chalcolithic cultures you have to see very clearly, because Harappan civilization was also during Chalcolithic period, during this period. Point number 3, Ahar and Jorwe are the major Chalcolithic sites. That's correct. Jorwe culture discovered at Jorwe Inamgaon, Daimabad were some of the prominent sites in Maharashtra. In the valley of river Pravara, Ahar culture in the valley of river Banas in Rajasthan. These were the prominent Calgothic cultures, and these were prominent Calgothic cultural sites. So all the three statements are here are correct. How many of the statements given above are correct? All the three. So option is C. You have to keep reading carefully and keep moving one by one. Do not rush. Do not rush, because if you rush, you'll end up committing silly mistake, and that is going to be terrible. Question number 3. With reference to the subsistence pattern means economic life. How were they living? How were they surviving? It's not subsistent economy. When the term is subsistent economy, the question is saying that people did not produce surplus. They were producing something, they were surviving on that, they were consuming it. There was nothing to be given to others, or there was nothing to be traded, nothing to be sold. But this is subsistence pattern, means economic pattern. Of Harappan civilization, consider following statements. Point number 1, agriculture was the primary occupation. Agriculture was not the primary occupation. Agriculture was practiced by people of Harappan civilization, but Harappan civilization was an urban civilization. The primary economic activities were industries and trade. Agriculture was not the primary occupation of Harappans. So, read carefully. It's wrong. Harappans practiced animal domestication, with horse being prominent animal. They domesticated animals, but horse was not the prominent animal. Till the last few years, it was believed that Harappans were not even aware of horse, but now we have found some evidence of horse. So we know that Harappans were aware of horse, but horse was not the common or the prominent animal domesticated by them. There's no evidence of trade surplus. That is also wrong here, because Harappans were practicing trade not only with different parts of Indian subcontinent, but also with the outside world. They were going to Mesopotamian civilization, they were going to Egyptian civilization, they were getting gold from Kolar gold mines in Karnataka, they were getting lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, Badakhshan. So they were having trade commerce and they were having surplus. Harappans were getting huge amount of foreign wealth, and that was the key to the prosperity of Harappan cities. Urban civilization cannot survive if it doesn't have trade, if it doesn't have industries, and if it doesn't have surplus. All the three here are wrong. Let us see how many are correct. None of the above are correct. None of the statements given here are correct. So option is D. Question number 4. Consider following statements. A statement 1. The uniformity in urban planning, weights and seals suggests the presence of some form of central authority. If there was uniformity among Harappan settlements, Harappan civilization, if I make a rough kind of map here, Harappan civilization was covering an extensive area of around 1.3 million square kilometers. More than 1400 settlements of Harappan civilization have been found, but everywhere seals were similar, everywhere brick size was similar, everywhere the weights and measures were similar, everywhere pottery was similar, everywhere the script was similar. This indicates that these settlements spread over more than 1600 kilometers east-west, more than 1400 kilometers north-south, were under some kind of one central authority. We do not know what kind of authority was it, but what we can understand is that there was some kind of central authority. Otherwise, such uniformity would have been impossible. The Harappan civilization was governed by merchant guilds. This is wrong here. We do not know who was governing. Some historians say that it was governed by merchant guilds, but there is no concrete or solid evidence to accept that. First is correct, second is wrong. Which of the following in respect above? First is correct, second is wrong. Option is C. Question number 5. Consider following pairs. Harappans. Notable feature. Rakhi Gardi, largest Harappan site in India, located in Haryana. Correct. Lothal, Gujarat, famous for dockyard. Dockyard means a port kind of thing. Lothal was a river port, you have to remember. It was not a seaport. It was located on the banks of river Bhogavo. Chanudaro, famous for, located in Sindh, bead making, toy making. Very correct. All three are correct. Dholavira, sophisticated water conservation system. 16 massive water reservoirs have been found in the city of Dholavira or at the site of Dholavira in the Rann of Kutch. Dholavira people were channeling the rainwater from nearby areas into these reservoirs. They were using water filtration system because some of these reservoirs were even interconnected. So if reservoirs are interconnected, you can think of what kind of water filtration technique was there. And if you can connect, this is known as sedimentation method of water filtration. So all the four are correctly matched here. How many are correctly matched? All the four. D. Question number 6. With reference to the beginning of Vedic culture in India, consider following statements. The early Vedic culture is primarily known through literary sources which reflect a pastoral and semi-nomadic lifestyle. That's correct. The Vedic people initially settled in eastern Gangetic plain. That is wrong. Vedic people were initially settling in the plain of today's Punjab, Haryana, between the river Yamuna and river Saraswati or river Satluj. Excavations carried out at Sanoli. Sanoli is located near Delhi, around 100 kilometers from Delhi, on the banks of river Yamuna. This is the oldest of the Vedic sites excavated so far. Time period of Sanoli has been from around 2000 BC to 1800 BC. Earlier it was believed that Vedic age started around 1500 BC. That date was randomly given by German scholar Max Müller, Friedrich Max Müller. So there was no basis of that. Even Max Müller accepted in his interaction with others in his age that time that there is no basis. He picked up a random date, but now from archaeology, from carbon dating methods, we have this date that Sanoli was a flourishing site in around 2000 BC to 1800 BC. So this was not in eastern Gangetic plains. You can say this was in the western Gangetic plains at least, or in the plains of river Yamuna, Saraswati and Satluj, that is Punjab, Haryana and western UP area. Only one is correct. Which of the statement is correct? Only one. A. So Vedic people used to share their knowledge through oral learning. Teacher used to speak and the disciples used to remember those passages, those kind of hymns or shloks exactly in the same manner without even missing a comma or full stop. For more than 1500 years, the Vedic knowledge was carried through this manner. And nothing changed. Even today, if you see Om Bhurva Swa, Gayatri Mantra, you may not know how to write. You might have not read anywhere in the book. You might have learned from your parents or from your teachers. So that is one of the examples how Vedic knowledge was passed on from generation to generation through oral learning. So it was a highly developed system of oral learning in Vedic times. People were not kind of backward, they were highly knowledgeable, and these sages were the thinkers, the intellectuals, or the scientists of that age. Question number 7. Consider the following statements regarding the factors that contributed to the rise of Magadha. Magadha was one of the 16 Mahajanpadas. Magadha was located in today's Bihar, and the location of Magadha, the leadership of Magadhan rulers, availability of iron, availability of extensive fertile plain, availability of perennial rivers, natural safety available to Magadhan capitals. All those factors contributed to the rise of Magadha. Let us see. The region had abundant iron ore deposits that allowed Magadhan rulers to make iron weapons. That's correct, because iron weapons were like today's BrahMos missiles or today's, you can see, Agni missiles. If you had iron-tipped arrow, it will travel long, it will have effective penetration power. So that way you have to see. The use of elephants in the Magadhan army provided a strategic advantage. Elephants were like tanks of today's times. So Magadhans were having elephants because elephants were found in the forests of eastern India. So Magadhans were the first to use elephants. And when the elephant army of Magadhan used to march, the trumpet, the sound of elephants used to terrify the enemies, and most used to run away. That was the key to the success of Magadhan imperialism. Magadha was ruled by ambitious king supported by capable ministers who pursued aggressive expansionist policy. That's correct. Think of Bimbisara, who conquered eastern India. Anga. Think of Ajatashatru, who fought for 16 years with the Lichavis. Think of Mahapadam Nand. Think of Chandragupta Maurya. So all of these were great rulers of Magadha. So all the three are correct here. How many of the above factors correctly explain or explains the reasons for Magadhan emergence? All the three. All the three factors contributed to the rise of Magadha as a great power in ancient times. One of the 16 Mahajanpadas became the first empire under Nandas. Nanda Empire was the first empire in Indian history, and under Mauryans, the Magadha assumed the form of a pan-India empire because Mauryans carried the flag of Magadha up to the deep south, up to Afghanistan, up to Kalinga, Bengal, Assam Valley, up to Nepal, up to Kashmir. All these areas were conquered by Mauryans. With reference to Paleolithic cultures in India, consider following statement. Paleolithic means the earliest phase of Stone Age. The first phase of Stone Age, when people were surviving on hunting, food gathering, they were having kind of bulky, unrefined tools. It marks the earliest phase of human history, characterized by the use of polished stone tools. Polished tools were not there. Polished tools were the features of Neolithic age, no polished tool here. These were bulky, unrefined tools based on the techniques like flake or initially core, then flake, then blade. There were three phases in Paleolithic age: lower, middle, and upper. The people of this period were primarily hunters and food gatherers. That's correct. Hunting, food gathering economy was the characteristic features of this time. Bhimbetka caves in MP, Raisen district have shown evidence of Paleolithic habitation. We have got tools, we have got paintings. That's correct from Bhimbetka caves. 2 and 3 are correct. 2 and 3. B. So keep reading carefully, keep reading slowly. Ensure that you do not take things for granted. You read, you comprehend, and find best option. You don't have to always worry about the correct answer. You have to worry about the best among the available options. Sometimes more than one options could be correct. So find which is better, which is best. Sometimes no option could be correct. Find which is most accurate, or which is likely to be accurate, or which is closest to being accurate. So you have to see in degrees. Question number 9. Consider following PS. Rajasuya sacrifice. These are sacrifices or yag, supposed to confer supreme power on the king. Coronation ceremony. Now king is becoming the representative of God. King can rule on the people by completing Rajasuya sacrifice. Vajpaya. Vaja means strength. Paya means drink. So this was a sacrifice involving a drink of his strength. Chariot race was an integral part. King was supposed to get greater authority, greater power through this. Chariot race was an important element, and king was to become more powerful. Ashwamedha was for territorial expansion. Horse was left free for 1 year, and wherever the horse went, that was considered to be the territory of the king conducting Ashwamedha sacrifice. So these are two not rightly matched. Let us see what is the question. Which of the above are correctly matched? So only one. Only one. A. Question number 10. Consider following statements about Mesolithic period. Microliths. Microliths were arrowheads, spearheads, very small tools of around 3 centimeters in size. These were the typical tools of Mesolithic or the Middle Stone Age period. First, very correct. Microliths were the features of Mesolithic period. Domestication of animals in some form of agriculture. Agriculture was not there. Agriculture was the feature of Neolithic age. Domestication of animals was carried out. Adamgarh, Veerbhanpur, Langanaj. These were some of the prominent sites. Bagor in Rajasthan of Mesolithic age. We have found evidence of use of huts, evidence of domestication of animals. But no agriculture in this age. The people completely abandoned hunting. This was never abandoned. Even today, Salman Khan is facing the case of hunting of black buck. So hunting is being done by men even today. In Africa, in North America, hunting is a very common pastime. So whatever the man learns once, that is never abandoned completely. Your habits do not die. So in this young age, when you develop habits, always be careful. Right habits are difficult to acquire but easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to acquire but difficult to live with. So ensure that you are always on the path of righteousness. Which of the statements given above are correct? Only one. A. Question number 11. With respect to Sangam literature, Sangam means assembly of poets. Assembly of meeting. So there were 3 assemblies of poets in the capital of Pandyan rulers. Pandyan capital was Madurai, though there were 3 different names of Madurai during these assemblies, because first capital, then Madurai, Kapatapuram, these second capital was Kapatapuram, they got destroyed by river Vagai. Third was Madurai, but generally for GS perspective, you can remember it was in the Pandyan capital of Madurai. 3 Sangams, 3 assemblies were held. Sangam poets vividly depict the military achievements of contemporary kings, of course. Battle of 10 Kings, in which King Karikala defeated alliance of 10 kings in the battlefield of Vanni. So these kind of descriptions are very common. Sangam literature is predominantly secular, focusing largely on themes of daily life, love, welfare, or warfare. Correct? 1 and 2 both are correct here. Which of these are correct? Always look at the instruction carefully, because sometimes you're going to have not correct. So read properly, because you may miss out not correct. And if you see your performance, some of the questions you have missed just because you did not read the instruction carefully. You thought question is asking just correct and question was asking not correct. So don't commit such mistakes. See. 12. With reference to the Harappan civilization, consider following statements. Harappans had trade links with Mesopotamian, where their region was referred as Meluha. Harappans were termed as people of Meluha. Meluha was the term used for Indus region. Meluha was the place mentioned by Mesopotamians from where they were importing cotton. So cotton was produced only in Indian subcontinent in that age. So we know that Meluha was for Indus region or Harappan civilization. Harappan seals found in Mesopotamian indicate existence of direct trade. So Harappans were carrying their goods to Mesopotamian civilization or Mesopotamian cities or Egyptian civilization. That's why Mesopotamian seals have been found in India. Harappan seals have been found in Mesopotamian cities. Correct? The Harappans used a standardized system of weights and measures, but they did not have coin. Seals were not coins, because sometimes when you read books, you get confused that seals were coins. Seals were not coins. Seals were like a stamp. Nowadays, we have stamps in office. When you go for authentication, something office stamp, that's seal. That is a stamp, not a currency or a coin. So this is wrong because of the issue of coinage. Lothal in Gujarat served as an important port city. That's correct. 1 is wrong, 3 are correct. How many statements is or not correct? See, not correct. So you have to see carefully only 1. 13 number, consider following statements. He defeated King Harshvardhan on the banks of river Narmada. You know who defeated, whose court poet was Ravi Kirti. This was Pulkesin's second Chalukya. He was a very powerful ruler. King of Vatapi or Badami in Karnataka. Which, with reference to Pallavas, consider following statements. Pallavas established the kingdom in southern India. Kanchipuram or Kanchi was the capital. That's correct. Kanchipuram was a great center of learning, great center of art, architecture. Many beautiful temples were built by Pallavas in the capital and in the nearby areas. Kadambas and Chalukyas of Badami, Vatapi, same Pulkesin second dynasty, were contemporary to Pallavas. That is correct. Both are correct. Question is asking not correct. So neither 1 nor 2 is correct because both are correct here. 15 number, with respect to Harappan period, consider following statements. Raw material copper was procured from Rajasthan, Khetri mines, not Gujarat. Lapis lazuli from Badakhshan, Afghanistan, that is correct. Steatite, not from Iran, from central India, from Rajasthan. Carnelian from Gujarat. So 2 and 4 are correct, 1 and 3 are wrong. Correctly matched 2 and 4. Question number 16, consider following statements with respect to Mahajanpadas. Each Mahajanpada had a well-defined capital serving as the administrative and political center. That's correct. Every Mahajanpada was having capital like Rajgraha, like Vaishali of Lichavis, like Ujjain of Avanti. All the Mahajanpadas were monarchies. No, 14 out of these 16 Mahajanpadas were monarchies. 2 of the Mahajanpadas, Vajji, and Malla. Malla Majanpada was having two branches, Malla of Pawapuri, Malla of Kushinagar. Vajji was having 8 confederacy or 8 groups. Lichvis were most powerful among them. Sakyas, to which family or the family of Mahatma Buddha was also part of Vajji confederacy. Janatri caste, the clan to which Mahavira belonged, was also part of Vajji confederacy. These 2 were republican, other 14 were monarchical. Certain Majanpadas developed standing armies and established bureaucratic system. That's correct. 2 are correct, 1 is wrong. How many are correct? Only 2. Question number 17. With reference to Cholas, consider following statements. Vizayalaya was the founder of Chola Empire. This was the empire of Imperial Cholas. Imperial Cholas became dominant in South India when Pallavas declined or at the cost of Pallavas. Earlier, Cholas were under Pallavas till 850 AD, and in 850 AD, Vijayalaya declared independence with Tanjore as its capital. That marked the beginning of the Imperial Chola dynasty. Chola rulers were noted for their naval power. That's correct. Rajaraja first conquered 12,000 Maldive Islands, Lakshadweep Islands, and northern Sri Lanka. His son Rajendra first conquered Southeast Asian Empire or sent a naval expedition against Shailendra Kingdom of Southeast Asia or Sri Vijaya Kingdom. He also completed the conquest of Sri Lanka. So they are famous in history for their naval power. They were the only dynasty in Indian history to have overseas colonies. Remember that point. Generally, the books say that Indians were not ambitious, they were content with what they had, and they never tried to have overseas colonies. Cholas had overseas colonies. Both are correct, not correct, neither 1 nor 2. 18 number. Consider following statements. Women in early Vedic society had access to spiritual and philosophical discourse because Lobamudra, Apala, Ghosha, Vishwara, Pulomi, these were some of the women who composed the hymns of Rig Veda. They composed hymns, it means they had access to discourse. So both are correct, and statement 2 is explanation also. So option is A. 19. Consider following statements. All phenomena in the world are transient and ever-changing. Of course, this was key to the Buddhism. Worship of Supreme God. Buddha did not say anything about God. When he was asked whether God exists, he kept mum. He did not accept, he did not deny the existence of God. He was silent when he was asked about God. Extreme asceticism. Buddha was against extreme asceticism, extreme hard life or monastic life. Buddha believed in the efficacy of path of knowledge. He believed that knowledge was the key to nirvana. Realize 4 noble truths. World is full of sorrow. There is a cause of sorrow. Cause of sorrow is desire, and elimination of desire leads to elimination of sorrow. So 4 noble truths, Eightfold Path, 10 teachings, these are part of the Buddhist philosophy. He was not in favor of asceticism. Only 1 is correct. Correct with reference to core teachings, only 1. 20 number. With reference to teachings of Jainism, consider following statements. All elements in nature include stone. What the question? Which of the statements given are correct? Of course, Jainism believes that everything has a soul, even the stone, even the tree, everything, nothing is dead here. You know that there are atoms, and atoms have electrons revolving around shells. Anything that has energy moving is life in reality, and that's what Mahavira said. The principle of ahimsa extends even to insects and plants. You can't even breathe insects or bacteria. That's why the Jaina monks put a white cloth on their face. Monastic life is necessary condition for salvation because asceticism, hard life, was key. And in this Jaina system, the last phase in the process of hard life, monastic life, was sallekhana, death through gradual starvation. The cycle of birth and rebirth shaped through karma, of course. Good deeds and bad deeds. Bad deeds are responsible for trapping the soul in the cycle of birth and rebirth, birth, death, and rebirth, that we can see. All are correct. D. 21. With reference to modern administration, consider following statements. Modern state prioritize assessment of taxes over collection. No. Assessment as well as collection. What is the point of assessment if it's not collected? Without collection, treasury won't be full. Treasury has to be full. Treasury is the key to the strength of a state. The Samaharta was primarily responsible for treasury, while Sannidhata was tax assessment. Sannidhata was assessing, Samaharta was collecting. That's correct. Arthashastra outlines a complex machinery for tax assessment, which is the Mauryan state system was highly structured. What do we following are correct? Samaharta, this point we need to see it carefully. Samaharta was primarily responsible for treasury. Samaharta was for tax collector. Treasurer was Sannidhata. So this is wrong. Harna means tax collector. And Sannidhata was the treasurer. So this is wrong here. Third is correct. Which of the following statements are correct? Only 3. That is A. Women, consider following statement regarding social conditions during Gupta period. Women were prohibited from studying religious texts. That's correct. They could hear epics, Puranas. They could not read Vedas. Worship of images and elaborate rituals made Shaivism, Vaishnavism popular? No. Vaishnavism was believing in the idea of bhakti. Vaishnavism was against rituals and ceremonies. So, Vaishnavism was not having rituals. That's wrong. Which correct? Only 1. 23. Consider following years of type of Ashokan inscription. Pillar Edict, Loria, Nandangad, Bihar. Correct. Major Rock Edict, Girnar or Junagadh Rock Edict. There are 14 major Rock Edicts at 8 places. Minor Rock Edicts, Mashki, Brahmgiri. Many have been found in South India. Most in Karnataka. In fact, maximum number of minor rock edicts have been found in Karnataka. All 3 are correct. So how many are correctly matched? All the 3. 24. With reference to contributions of Shakas and Kushanas to polity, Indian polity, see, they introduced idea of divine origin. They did not introduce, they followed. So problem is with introduction. The idea of divine origin of monarchy for the first time is found in Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda, a Veda of later Vedic age, contains the first reference of divine origin of monarchy or king being a representative of God. In Atharva Veda, King Parikshit is mentioned as Ardhadeva or semi-divine. So they did not introduce, they followed, but it was already there. They established the Satrapa system, that's correct. They promoted practice of hereditary dual rule, that's correct. They introduced a system of military governorship, that's correct. That's the meaning of Satrapa basically. All are correct. 2, 3, 4. Only 3. Question number 25. Consider following statement regarding trade and economy during Gupta period. Gupta issued largest number of gold coins. Kushanas issued purest gold coins in Indian history. Kushanas issued purest gold coins. Gupta issued largest number of gold coins. So remember that. Gupta period saw an increase in foreign trade. Guptas were from 300 AD to 550 AD. From 300 AD to 450 AD, there was a rise in trade and then there was decline in trade. So initially there was a massive increase in foreign trade, huge amount of silk, huge amount of Indian cloths, huge amount of Indian spices were being exported to Roman world. This period witnessed the emergence of class of priestly landlords because the Gupta rulers issued land grants to temples, to Brahmanas, to senior military commanders. So those who received land grant, they became landlords. So that is correct. 1, 2, 3. All are correct. D. 26. Cheras, Tamilkam or Tamilham or South India. Shakas, Central Asia, they are from Central Asia. Kushanas were not in Western India. Shakas were in Western India. Kushanas were in Northwestern India or Mathura region, Punjab and Afghanistan. Only 2. 27. Consider following statements with respect to Chalcolithic period in India. Beads made of semi-precious stones like statite, quartz crystal were produced. Beads means ornaments, you can say. The pieces that are used in neck through thread or you can put in the arm, money. The people of this period were familiar with technique of cloth making. Of course, they were weaving cloths. Painted graveware was not used here. Painted graveware was the typical pottery of later Vedic age. PGW or painted graveware was used during later Vedic age. 1 and 2. Only 2. With reference to the Jataka stories in Buddhism, consider following statements. They narrate events from previous births of Buddha. That's correct. There are 550 Jataka stories. It is believed that Buddha was born in this world 550 times before he attained enlightenment or he attained nirvana. The stories of these 550 previous births of Buddha are found in Jatakas, or Jataka stories are the stories of these 550 previous births of Buddha. They are illustrated on railings of gateways of stupas. This is correct. These are depicted on stupas. Both are correct. We need to see correct, so both are correct. 29. Consider following statements regarding types of settlements. Ur was a village of Vellala Tamil peasants. Vellalas were Tamil peasants. Vellalas or Villals. Sabha was an assembly of Brahmin landholders found in Agrahara village. Agrahara was a village of Brahmanas. Agrahara was a village donated to Brahmanas. There was another village called Brahmadeya village. Brahmadeya village was also Brahmana village. Brahmadeya was Brahmana plus Tamil peasants. A part of village donated to Brahmanas was known as Brahmadeya. When the entire village was donated to Brahmanas, that was known as Agrahara village. Nagaram was settlement of traders and merchants. That's correct. All three are correct here. How many? Which of these are? So all three are correct. D. 30. Consider following statement. During early medieval South Indian history, military conquests were often led to this. Vatapi Konda. Vatapi Konda was Narasimha Varmana first. Narasimha Varmana first Pallava was attacked by Pulkesin second. But then Narasimha Varmana first got help from Sri Lankan king Manavarman. They defeated Pulkesin second thrice. He attacked Vatapi. Pulkesin second felt humiliated, jumped in river Tungabhadra, committed suicide, and Vatapi remained under Pallava control for more than a decade. So that's why his title was Vatapi Konda. Somebody from Chalukyan dynasty in future, Vikramaditya II, conquered Kanchi, adopted title of Kanchi Konda. Konda means conqueror. 31. With reference to Harappan sites, consider following statements. Rangpur, Nageshwar located in Gujarat. That's correct. Chanudaro Sutka Gender are located in Pakistan. Correct. Dholavira is Ran of Kutch, Gujarat. Correct. All three are correct. 32. With reference to the Patti Vedika means reporters. During Mauryan administration following, they were responsible for reporting important public affairs directly to king. They were spies or reporters. They functioned as interpreters of royal edicts. That is not correct. They were spies or reporters. Only one. A. 33. With reference to decline of Buddhism in India by 12th century CE, consider following statements. Buddhism gradually adopted several Brahminical practices. That's correct. Buddhism, that's what happens when people become rich, powerful, successful. They adopt the negative things from others and they end up declining. This was true for Buddhism. Buddhist monks shifted from use of Pali to Sanskrit. That is one of the adaptations, correct? The accumulation of wealth in monasteries and presence of women within them led to moral degradation. That's correct. 1 to 3, all are correct. 34. Consider following statement with reference to the contributions of ancient India in the field of mathematics and astronomy. The Indian numeral system was adopted and transmitted to Western world by Arabs. Correct. The decimal system was first developed and used by Indian mathematicians. Of course, Aryabhatta invented decimal system. Indian astronomers were among the earliest to explain true causes. Again, Aryabhatta explained the true causes of lunar and solar eclipse. Earlier, it was believed that it was because of Rahu Ketu. He was the first person to explain that relative motion of Earth, Sun and Moon is responsible for eclipses. How many correct? All three. 35. With reference to Western Ganga dynasty, They were contemporary of Satavahanas? Not really. Satavahanas were in 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. They came in around 5th century AD. Their kingdom was primarily located in southern Karnataka, that's correct, Mysore region. They are known for making extensive grants, that's correct. They were liberal, patronized Jainas. How many are correct or which are correct? 2 and 3. 36. Consider following statement regarding craft production during post-Mauryan age. Shatka was a fine variety of textile, very fine variety of cloth produced in Mathura. Coin minting emerged as a significant craft. Even Roman coins were produced here, or Roman coins were forged. Terracotta figurines and objects were widely produced. That's correct. Sculptures, potteries, toys, all are correct. D. So keep reading slowly, keep taking the right answer. Do not commit mistake, do not rush. 37. With reference to Tamil Sangam age, consider following statement regarding Purananuru. It's an anthology of poems, that's correct, stories. It primarily deals with themes related to public life such as war, kingship, ethics, philanthropy, that's correct, both are correct here, C. 38. He counseled the authority over northwestern and Bengal, this Vikramaditya, so he is Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II, Gupta ruler. Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya. With reference to cultural impact of Shakas and Kushanas, the Shakas and Kushanas introduced cavalry techniques such as use of reins, saddle. They were the fine cavalrymen, that's correct. Despite having their own script, they did not have a script. That is wrong here. The Shakas adopted Indian language, but they did not have their own script. Their contribution to Indian attire including garments, tunics, trousers, long coat, that's correct. How many? Only 2. 40. With reference to administrative and ideological features, the Satavahana rule. Satavahana king consciously aligned themselves with Dharma-shastric ideals or Brahminical or Hindu ideals, portraying themselves upholder of Dharma. That's correct. This was a source of legitimacy. Unlike the Mauryan, Satavahanas rejected earlier administrative structures and developed entirely. That is wrong. That is wrong. Only 1. With reference to factors responsible for decline of Gupta Empire, consider the following statement. The Huna invasion exposed military vulnerabilities. Hunas came from Central Asia. They were warlike people. They started attacking India in around the middle of 5th century AD. The first Huna invasion took place during last years of the reign of King Kumargupta I. These Huna invaders were defeated by Prince Iskandagupta on the banks of river Kali Sindh. That's the reference we find, and thereafter Hunas started attacking India far more frequently. Growing autonomy of feudatories eroded central authority, that's correct. When feudal lords, Guptas issued land grants, the receivers of land grants became powerful, and now they started counterbalancing the authority of king. They started not following the king. That was another reason. The over-dependence on land grants to officials and Brahmanas gradually depleted empire's revenue. That is also correct. Source of revenue was lost. 1 to 3. (42) With reference to early historical developments in Assam, consider following statement. Archaeological findings from Ambari suggest that settlements exist in Kamrupa. That's correct. The Kamrupa region remained largely isolated. That is wrong. Harsha and the king of Kamrupa, Bhashkar Varman, were close friends. They were not living an isolated life. Only 1 is correct. 43. Consider following statement with reference to the reign of Harshvardhan and account of Wenchang. Wenchang or Xuanzang, there are different ways of writing his name. Ushanchang, sometimes Hiuent Sang, Wenchang. Notable for offering a more detailed and nuanced portrayal of Indian socio-economic structure than that of Fashian or Faiyan. Faiyan came during Gupta period. Wenchang wrote a book called Siyuki. Fayan wrote the book called Fukyoki. Remember these books, these are very important. According to Hushan, cities like Patliputra and Vaishali had declined while Prayag and Kannauj. That is correct. Hushan Chang found no evidence of social discrimination. Untouchability was widespread according to Huen Shang as well as according to Fayan. That is wrong. 1 and 2 are correct. 44. With reference to Bhakti movement in South India, Nayanars were the devotees of Shiva, Lord Shiva. 63 Nayanars, they were the Shaiva Bhakti saints in Tamil land. Nal Ira Divya Prabandham is a book containing teachings of Alwar saints. There were 12 in number, and this book was composed by Nath Muni in 10th century AD, and this Nath Muni was first Tamil Acharya. He was followed by Yamunacharya, Ramanacharya and Madhvacharya later on. So remember that chronology also. Both are correct. 45. With reference to military and administrative practices of medieval sultans, consider the points. The practice of branding horse Dag was introduced by Alauddin Khilji. Chehra was introduced by Alauddin Khilji. Dag and Chehra, or sometimes written as Dag and Huliya, were introduced by Alauddin Khilji to ensure that no proxy was used during inspections and during wars. Firoz Tughlaq established separate department of slaves, Diwan-e-Bandagan. 1,80,000 slaves of Sultan were managed by him. Diwan-e-Bandagan was the name of this department. That's correct. 1 to 3, or not 1 to 3. First is wrong. Second and third, only B. 46. Consider following statement with reference to social and educational reforms introduced by Emperor Akbar. Akbar imposed complete ban on sati. No, he imposed ban on forced sati. And remember the name of officer. He appointed special officers known as Turbegs. Officers known as Turbeg, Turbeg, to see that no woman was forced to burn herself against her will. Turbegs, Fosati. Legalized widow remarriage, banned child marriage, correct. Introduced reforms in educational curriculum, promoted mathematics, moral sciences, technology, 2, 3, 4. Not correct, only 1. 47. With reference to Chishti order of Sufi saints in India, consider following statements. Although Chishti saints preached detachable, they were not entirely insulated. They received gifts, they welcomed sultans. Akaf, or the grants, were received by Bhakti or Chishti saints from sultans. Chishti saint accepted offerings in cash, that's kind. All 3 are correct here. 1 to 3. 48. With respect to economic conditions in India during early medieval age, consider following statement. Trade with Southeast Asia and China declined. Early medieval age, that is wrong, because Cholas were having extensive trade relations with China and Southeast Asia. They were in early medieval age. There was an increase in circulation of gold and silver coins. Relatively, we can say, but not correct. Let us see what the options. How many is correct? Relatively, when you say it was increasing, but it was the result of very rapid decline. Guptas were the last to use coins on a larger scale. Thereafter, coinage declined. And then when Sultans of Delhi came, or Turks came, then monetization increased. So this was not true, though there was some use of gold and silver coins. There was a steady decline in towns during this period. That is correct. De-urbanization happened in India during this age. Only 1 is correct. That is A. 49. With reference to Vaishnava, Veerashaiva Lingayat tradition, Basava, remember Basava, Lingayat, Veerashaiva tradition. Followers of this tradition wear a small linga across their left shoulder. That's correct. They believe that death to devotee return to or merge with Shiva, not return to the world. Correct. Funeral rites such as cremation were not practiced. They were burying because they were against Brahminical practices. Correct. All are correct here. The Vaishyavites, they condemned caste system. They were in favor of widow remarriage. They condemned Brahminical practices. And Brahmanas were following cremation, so they were burying the dead body. They were not cremating. 50. With reference to revenue assessment system under Marathas, consider following statement. Chauth was a tax assessed 1/4. Chauth was basically 1/4 of the revenue demanded by Marathas from their neighboring kingdoms. Chauthai revenue, 1/4 of revenue. Correct. Sardeshmukhi was 10% of revenue received by Maratha king from his feudal lords, from his subordinate rulers. So think of Maratha Empire. Maratha Empire used to have 3 kinds of territories. These first 2 you can see were part of Maratha Empire. The core area was known as Swarajya. It was ruled by Maratha king directly. Entire revenue was coming to Maratha king. Land revenue reforms, when you study taxation system, when you study, those things were applied to Swarajya. In peripheral areas, or in the second circle here, if you can connect, in this circle, in this peripheral area, autonomous feudal lords known as Deshmukhs were ruling on behalf of king. And these Deshmukhs used to pay 10% of their revenue as Sardeshmukhi to Maratha king. In third circle, there were neighboring states like Gujarat, like Bengal, like Nizam, like Central Indian states. Marathas used to collect chauth from them. Marathas used to demand 1/4 of their revenue as chauth. So this way you have to understand. Third, both Chauth and Sardeshmukhi were collected exclusively within territories. So you can understand now this is wrong. 1 and 2. Question number 51. Consider following statements with respect to the Vijayanagar Empire. Water tanks, canals, Hiraya Canal, that's correct, were built. No mortar was used in the fort, as Abdur Razzaq, you read in the book, Abdur Razzaq, the Persian traveler, Persian ambassador to Vijayanagar, informed. Vijayanagar was surrounded by a fort having 7 concentric lines, that's correct. Forest and agriculture were within the fort, so that in case of siege, the resources were never exhausted. 1 to 3. 52. With reference to administrative setup during Sultanate period, consider following. Diwan-e-Insa was Department of Royal Correspondence. So confidential communication was conducted by this. Main responsibility Barid was spy. Barid means spy. Barid and Wakia Navis. WAQIA, Wakia Navis. These were spies. Which of the statements given above is correct? Both. 53. With reference to Sufi tradition in India, consider following spheres. Zirayat means pilgrimage. Murid, disciple of Sheikh. Khanka, community hospice. All 3 are correct here. Community center basically where they were living. 54. Terminology. Kudari Chitti, horse merchants. Amara Naikas were the military commanders of Vijayanagar working as governors in peripheral areas. Raya was a title adopted by Vijayanagar rulers. All 3 are correctly matched. So these are too easy to manage. Just read the books properly, read the sources given to you in your schedule properly, and it will be like cakewalk. With reference to Guru Nanak, consider following statement. He emphasized path of Nirguna Bhakti, or formless God, no image, no ritual. He rejected ritualistic and external forms of worship. That's correct. Guru Nanak was contemporary of Ibrahim Lodi. He saw in vision of Babur. He wrote that Babur burnt the people of Sayyidpur alive. There was a village called Sayyidpur. That village opposed Babur's invasion, and that entire village was burnt alive by Babur. This was written by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. 1 to 3. 56. Consider the following pairs in the context of cultural history of India. Marchkatikam Shudraka, Abhigyanam Sakuntalam Kalidasa, Devi Chandraguptam Vishaka Datta. All three are correctly matched. All three were Gupta period scholars. 57. With respect to Battle of Tarain, there were two battles. First battle 1191, Prithviraj Chauhan was victorious. Second battle 1192, Prithviraj Chauhan lost to Muhammad Ghori. Battles fought between Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan. Outcome second battle led to the establishment of Turkish rule. That's correct. Not correct. Neither one nor two. Both are correct. Consider following statements about Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta visited India during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. 1334 he came to India. 1345 he went to China on behalf of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. But he returned from China without completing his mission to his land, that is Morocco. He was a Moroccan traveler. His travelogue Rihala, his book Rihala, Arabic, is an important source of information. Both are correct. 59. With reference to Malik Ambar, Malik Ambar was Prime Minister of Ahmednagar, considered to be one of the ablest administrators in Indian history. He started guerrilla method of warfare, which was later perfected by Marathas against Mughals. Malik Ambar was instrumental in reviving Nizam Shahi dynasty, that was dynasty of Ahmednagar, introduced new revenue techniques, new revenue systems. Cavalry played important role, that's correct. Second point is wrong here. He introduced new land revenue system, that is correct, but Malik Kafur was during the reign of Alauddin Khilji. Malik Ambar was during the reign of Jahangir. He was contemporary to Jahangir or Mughal period. So because of this, point number 2 is wrong. So you have to read carefully, otherwise you read first half like this and you end up committing mistake. So be careful. 1 and 3. 60. Consider following statement. The political unification of under Mughal Empire and improvement of infrastructure was the question. Expansion of trade and commerce in first half of 16th century. Correct. Jabti system of land revenue improved efficiency, ensured peasants were not overexploited, ensured that sufficient amount of resources were coming from villages to cities without exploiting peasantry. So sustainable economy could develop. Mughal silver rupee was highly popular. It was accepted because of its purity. 1 to 3. All three are correct. They contributed to the growth of trade and commerce. 61. With reference to Pushyamitra Shunga, he was the commander-in-chief of last Mauryan ruler Bhadrath and killed that Bhadrath in broader daylight while Bhadrath was inspecting troops. So his action led to the end of Mauryan dynasty. He was the founder of Shunga dynasty. He destroyed Mauryan dynasty. He was anti-Buddhism. He destroyed Buddhist stupas, monasteries. He had issued or he had declared a reward of 100 dinar on the head of each Buddhist monk. So he contributed to the decline of Buddhism in a big way, one only. With reference to land classification, Poloj was a land that was cultivated every year, that was not allowed to be fallow. Fallow means without cultivation. Chachar was a land that was left fallow for 3 to 4 years, not once in a year, 3 to 4 years after taking a crop. Wrong. Paroti was a land that was left fallow for 1 to 2 years, not 5 or more years, 1 to 2 years. Wrong. Banja was a land that was left fallow for 5 or more years. Again wrong. Poloj, Paroti, Chachar, Banjar. These were the 4 classification of 4 classes of 4 categories of land during Akbar's reign. Classification was carried out on the basis of frequency of cultivation, not fertility, frequency of cultivation. 1 is correct. Not correct. 2, 3, 4. 63. Surdas UP Sankardev. It's not Sankaracharya. Vaishnava Bhakti says Sankardev of Assam, the inventor of Satriya dance, one of the 8 classical dances today. Tukaram was a Marathi Bhakti saint, part of Maharashtra Dharma. All are correctly matched. 64. Consider following statement with reference to Bhakti Saint Ravidas. He was contemporary of Sankaracharya. Absolutely wrong. Sankaracharya was in 9th century. Ravidas was contemporary of Kabir. He was in 14th, 15th centuries. Ravidas opposed caste system, gender-based discrimination. That's correct. Some of his devotional songs were included in Adi Granth Sahib or Guru Granth Sahib. Adi Granth Sahib means the first version of Guru Granth Sahib. Ravidas, Kabir, and some of the compositions of Namdev were included in Guru Granth Sahib 2 and 3. Consider following statement regarding administrative measures taken by Aurangzeb. He introduced practice of Jharokha Darshan. He banned the practice of Jharokha Darshan. In this practice, emperor was standing in balcony every morning to show his face to the people so that people could feel protected. That emperor was safe, empire was safe, and they were safe. This practice was Hindu practice adopted from Rajputs by Akbar. Aurangzeb prohibited all anti-Muslim or un-Muslim or un-Islamic practices, so he banned it. He imposed jizya tax, pilgrimage tax in 1679 as a part of his efforts to strengthen his hands when he was facing many revolts and rebellions. Correct. Only 2. 66. Consider following statement regarding administrative reforms of Mahmud Gawa in Bahmani Kingdom. He reorganized the provincial administration by better governance and appointed Jagirdars. Not Jagirdars, Tarafdar was the governor. He reformed provincial administration. He created new provinces, appointed Tarafdar as a provincial governor. Mahmud Gawa was a famous prime minister of Bahmani Kingdom. He introduced a system wherein salaries and military action were clearly fixed. That's correct. In every province, Khalisa land from where revenue was to come to central treasury, was clearly demarcated. 2 and 3. Only 2. First is wrong. 67. Nadir Shah invaded India in 1739 during the reign of Muhammad Shah. He defeated Mughal army in the Battle of Karnal. 1739, Battle of Karnal. Mughal army was defeated by Nadir Shah, and then he reached Delhi. He plundered Delhi. He took away Kohinoor and Peacock Throne. Ahmad Shah Abdali, former general, he launched first invasion in 1748. Nadir Shah died in 47. That's correct. 68. Amir Khusro wrote Tughlaqnama but not Firoz Shah Tughlaq, containing the history of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, the founder of Tughlaq dynasty. He was a disciple of Nizamuddin Aulia. He used to play music for Nizamuddin Aulia. Call was started by him, the beginning part of the Qawwali, and he was in fear of religious tolerance and secular thinking. That is correct. 2, 3, 4. Not correct, only 1. 69. Sufis and Baba Farid's disciple, important center Delhi. He preferred to Shin company rulers. That's correct. All are correct about Nizamuddin Aulia. These are related to Chishti Saint Nizamuddin Aulia. All are correct. Which of the following statements accurately describe market regulations? He introduced and fixed prices of commodities used in daily life. He appointed official on a Suhanai Mandi. Suhanai Mandi was like a police officer in charge of Mandi or market. He was responsible for efficient functioning of controlled markets. A new department known as Diwan-e-Riyasat was created by Alauddin Khilji to implement market regulations. It was headed by Sadr-e-Riyasat, and Suhana Mandi Sahanai Mandi was the police officer, head of market. He raised the prices of horses. No, he did not raise the price of force. He controlled the amount or the number of horses or amount of luxury item which a person could buy, though prices were fixed at very low level. 1 and 2. 71. Kurinji. These are the Tinias, Tamil Tinia, Tamil land. Kurinji, hilly area. Mullai was the forest area, not desert area. Maruddam was the plain area, agricultural area. Nadal was the coastal area, not pastoral area. Pallai was a name for desert, that also you can remember here. Pallai was a name for desert, not Mullai. These are difficult Tamil terms, difficult for non-Tamils. You have to know the terms related to other cultures also. 1 and 3, only 2 are correctly matched and others are wrongly matched. Which of the following events are associated with the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq? Transfer capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, not Bengal. Department of Agriculture, Diwan-e-Kohi or Diwan-e-Amir Kohi, that's correct, only 2. Consider following statement with reference to Mansabdari system. Mansabdars were the officers of Mughal Empire, or every officer was known as Mansabdar. Mansab means rank. Rank holder was Mansabdar. First is correct here. Individual, both his status and salary were fixed. Sawar denoted personal rank, indicated the size of contingent, that is opposite. Jat denoted personal rank. Sawar means how many horsemen, how many cavalrymen, how many soldiers Mansabdar was to maintain. So this is opposite, wrong. Dwaspasiyaspa was introduced by Jahangir, 2 horses, 3 horses. Some Mansabdars or some soldiers were asked to maintain 2 horses each, so that Mansabdar was having additional horses for use in emergency. How many? Only 2. Krishnadeva, the Vijayanagar ruler, was contemporary of Akbar. He belonged to Tuluva dynasty, that's correct. Contemporary of not Akbar, Babur, 1509 to 1529 was his reign. Babur wrote about him. Babur said, the Hindu king of Vijayanagar was most powerful. Only 1. That's correct. He was contemporary of Babur. So it's not wrong, it's correct. So you also have to ensure that you pay attention. Both are correct. See. Consider following statement regarding socio-economic condition during early medieval age. The hereditary chief rose in dominant position, that's correct. It was the age of feudal system. Feudal lords were hereditary, local rajas or chiefs. The feudal order weakened the village self-government because feudal lords controlled peasants, forced them to pay a lot of revenue. Peasants had to pay taxes, render forced labor or free labor. There was slavery. This is wrong. There was slavery. Slavery was widespread in India even during this age. Slavery was abolished in 1843 by Lord Ellenborough. Remember that. 1 to 3. Not correct, only 1. 76. Besnagar, Heliodorus. Pillar inscription, stone pillar was erected by Heliodorus. He was a Greek ambassador in the court of Shunga king Kashi Putra Bhagbhadra. Nanaghat inscription by Satvahana queen Naganika or Nyanika, wife of Satkarni first. Junagadh, Rudradaman first, that's correct. All the 3. Consider following statement with reference to Ikta system. The Ikta system was implemented for the first time in India. No, it was actually Arabian system. From Arabs, Turks adopted and Turks brought the system to India. Mukta Wali was the head of Ikta. Expenses from his assigned region, that's correct. In the time Firoz Shah had the control of his state over Ikta was diluted. Ikta has become hereditary, that's correct. 2 and 3. B. 78. You have to look at the matching. Ahmednagar Nizam Shahi, Bizapur Adil Shahi, that's correct. Golconda is Qutub Shahi, not Barid Shahi. Bidar was Barid Shahi. 1 and 2. 17, which of the following factors can be considered responsible for decline of Mauryan Empire? Rise of Majanpadas, that's wrong. Majanpadas were much before the Mauryans. Neglect of northwestern frontier, so foreign invasions started. Financially strained due to expenditure of large army, correct. Alexander was before Mauryan Empire, 2 and 3. B. 80. Consider following as a part doctrine of Jainism was added by Mahavira. Mahavira added only Brahmacharya. These 3 or 4 basically, not to acquire property. Aprigraha, Satya, Ahimsa and Asteya, these 4 were given by Parshnath, the 23rd Jaina Tirthankara. Mahavira added the 5th vow, that is Brahmacharya. 3 only. Now you have questions related to current affairs, 81 to 90. Naksha, a scheme that is started by Government of India. It seeks to create update records of land ownership, that's correct, so that in urban areas, basically, particularly focusing on the urban areas. It is being implemented by Ministry of Land Resources, and this is for villages as well as for urban centers, so correct, because urban areas also have many villages. Ministry of Land Resources under, Department of Land Resources under Ministry of Rural Development, that is wrong, 1 only. 82, 81st Annual General Meeting and World Air Transport. It was hosted by India for the first time, this is wrong. India hosted earlier also. The event is organized by IATA, that's correct. The first annual general meeting of IATA was held in Montreal in 1945. So that's correct, 45. So you have to, whenever you read the topics, you have to go back to the history to know the background also. This is not just current affair, this is current development. Remember that, 2 and 3. 83, with respect to Lavender Festival in Kashmir, it was organized by CSIR, IIM. Banderwa region of Jammu is considered to be perfect, both are correct. Daujali Hardig is a Neolithic site in Assam. Archaeological artifact established that this was habitation zone around 2,700 years ago. This is located in the vicinity of Langting, Mopa Reserve, that's correct, both are correct here. 85, with respect to Union Territory of Ladakh, 85% reservation to Ladakhis, that's correct. Third of the seats reserved for women, correct. Official language, again all these correct, all are correct here. Not correct, so none of the above, all are correct here. 86, vanadium pentoxide used for declotting the blood, because sometimes the blood clots excessively, so it's a discovery of nanoenzyme for ensuring declotting of blood, or blood doesn't clot excessively. IISC, correct, it's artificial metal based nanoenzyme that can be used to clamp down abnormal blood clotting, that is correct. Consider following statement regarding building integrated photovoltaic. So generally what was happening earlier till now, solar panels were being used or are being used. Now this BIPV, building integrated photovoltaics, will have the photovoltaic technology integrated in the walls, in the roof, in the facade as a part of construction. Dual purpose, that's correct. It is being promoted, it's not being banned, so only 1. 88, with reference to flue gas desulfurization systems used. FGD is used to remove sulfur dioxide emissions, that's correct. India has made installation of this mandatory because this is an important part of fight against climate change or global warming. Limestone is used as a reagent, that is also correct. All 3. 89, International Institute of Administrative Sciences, Department of India is a member of that. Correct. India has won the presidency, this is this, correct. As an affiliated body of, it's not affiliated body of UN, no, that's wrong. It works with UNO, but it's not affiliated, not correct, only 1. 90. Consider following statement regarding Ummeed. Ummeed is a portal for WAF property to get the complaints regarding WAF, not employment opportunities. Ministry of Minority Affairs, that's correct. 91. The reason of Crimea has been in news. Crimea, Russia-Ukraine war. Correct. Kerch connects Crimea with Russia, that's correct. Both are correct. Not correct, neither 1 nor 2, so both are correct here. You have to see carefully. 92. With respect to recently inaugurated Chenab Bridge, highest bridge 359 meter above seabed. So read them, both are correct here. 93. Consider following statement regarding election commission's upgraded index card system, detailed election data, vote share technology, but it is not used during election. It is used post-election, so it cannot be used for complaint against EVM or voting process. Only 2. 94. Consider following statement regarding NVStat. Yeah. Publication of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. First is wrong, second is correct. Only 2. Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation is the nodal ministry that releases data. With reference to geography of Central Asian countries, Kazakhstan shares border with Russia and China. Correct. Turkmenistan has coastline along Caspian Sea, that's correct. Uzbekistan landlocked. Kyrgyzstan doesn't share border with Afghanistan. 1, 2, 3. 96. Bauxite. This bauxite reserve is Eastern Ghats, Odisha. Bauxite is not used in steel. Bauxite is used in aluminium. So very easy if you read it carefully. And if you don't read, you may end up committing mistake. So only 1. 97. NBFCs in India are allowed to provide credit loans, but they can't accept demand deposit. They can become NBFCs with certain conditions. Most e-commerce platforms use banks and NBFC, that's correct. 1 and 3. 98. Satellite internet provides connectivity to remote areas. India has allowed the Starlink of Elon Musk. So first correct, second wrong. 99. Consider following Clean Plant Program CPP. It seeks to provide access to disease-free high-quality planting. That's correct. It will be implemented by National Horticulture Board. That's correct. Both are correct here. C. And the last one, consider following statement regarding Kitchen and Minar in recently. They are wetland ecosystems situated in the state of Rajasthan. Perfectly correct. Wetlands are very important for the paper of environment ecology or for the subject of environment ecology. So wetlands you have to cover, Ramsar sites you have to cover, conditions. Ramsar is in Iran where the convention happened. They have been added. So you have to see all the Ramsar sites in India, particularly the new one which are being added. So dear students, this was your discussion to the prelims test paper of ancient and medieval history. If you have any difficulty, if you face any other problem anywhere, feel free to connect me through teacher support given on the website. You can also visit office, you can also call office, and you can write to me through the institute's mail. Keep working hard, keep getting better and better score. All the best. God bless you.